Hey guys, this is Art, welcome, and I thought it would be fun today to do this video alongside this guy. This is my pet pig, his name is Pumbaa. He's a good friend of mine. I thought we could introduce him to you guys, and I thought it'd be funny to do bring him along, to have him along for this video that I'm making today about rumination. Now, I'm not talking about rumination such as the type of rumination you see in cows. I'm talking about the type of ruminations that we survivors of narcissistic abuse go through. As we come out of these narcissistic family systems, as we go through narcissistic abuse, we will have reoccurring intrusive thoughts that often are quite destructive. Rumination happens because, when we experience injustice, when we, feel angry about things, when there's something that we can't solve. And so we will think about the things that happen to us over and over and over and over again, in loops. And rumination is actually, even though it might feel like you're solving something as you're ruminating, as you keep thinking about, this and that, and the thing that happened to you, and the injustice, and what you can say next time, how you can communicate, at the end of the day, rumination is actually not very good for you. It's not the same as visualization. Like if you visualize yourself walking into the new job, and you visualize the interview, the questions that they could ask you as practice to prepare you, that's okay. But I'm talking about the type of ruminations that basically prevents you from living your life in the present moment. Because that's what rumination does. It steals the present from you. It takes it away as you remain stuck fighting the monsters that the narcissistic family system will create in your mind. And so when we ruminate, what's happening really is that, we ruminate because we feel strong emotion, and we can't solve it. Your mind is trying to solve something that it can't solve. And you're trying to find a solution to something that you can't find a solution for. And so my advice to you when you ruminate is, look, the first thing is that, first of all, know that communication is not the problem. If you're dealing with narcissistic family system, it doesn't matter in how many ways you say what you have to say to them to make them understand how much they're hurting you. The communication, the way that you can communicate your feelings is actually not the problem at all. The way that you talk, the words you choose, that is not the problem at all. The problem is that you are dealing with denial and with a system that refuses to heal itself. So when you ruminate, the problem is that you will never find a solution. You will instead remain stuck in that bubble that the rumination keeps you in. So the first rule is, when you become mindful that you're ruminating, stop it right away. Don't finish it to completion. Don't finish it, because every time that you finish the rumination, maybe, completing it feels a little bit good, I suppose, but then you'll notice 5 minutes later you're doing it again. And it's as if your brain is going in loop. So you have to actually stop the process consciously. You have to stop it. And so, you can do this in many different ways. One way that I found that is quite interesting, and it worked for me, it will help me, is visualizing that I'm going to a place that I know really well. It could be like a grocery store or your workplace, a workplace or anything that, a place that you know really well, the park, a place that you know really well. So what you do is that you visualize yourself going to that place. You visualize every detail. So let's say, I drive my car, the parking spot. I walk into the store. Now, in the beginning, what do I see? I see the apples, the vegetables, and then usually I go to the meat section, and after that I go, to get the cereal and the peanut butter, and then I go to get the milk and the cheese. So you visualize the whole thing from beginning to end. And you do this every single time that the intrusive thoughts come in. It will kind of force, and make sure that it's the place that you already know. It's not like a place from your imagination. It's a place that you actually already know. So the reason why you're doing that is because you want to break the loop that's going on in circles in your head. You want to break that up. You don't want that to continue. Because rumination, like I said, it will keep you stuck in that world, and it will take away your present moment away from you. And you know what? Those people took enough of your time already. When the time is right, you'll deal with it when you deal with it. But if they're not here, then don't allow them to take away your time any more than they already did. And and yes, you will end up doing this exercise like 100 times a day. That's what happened to me. It's actually quite exhausting, because when you don't think about it, but when you start becoming conscious that you're ruminating, when you start noticing, oh, I'm ruminating, and you catch yourself, it happens often. It happens really often, when you come out of these systems, because the injustice that you've been through. So you're going to end up going to the grocery store in your mind very, very often. And it's almost like mentally exhausting after a while. But remember that is actually better. It's better to do that and to work towards getting healthy, like exercise that muscle, to stop the cycle, than to continue having those thoughts destroy, destroy your everyday, day-to-day living, The other thing that you can do also when you ruminate is when you snap out of it, and then you become mindful of your environment. So if there's somebody around you, engage in a conversation with them and really focus on what they're telling you. If you have an animal around you, you can pet them. You can, focus on your animal. If you have a dog, take him for a walk. Like, you have to basically get yourself out of your head by doing something, focusing on what is happening in your environment. Okay, and I mean, it sounds simple, but it takes an effort. It actually takes a pretty big effort when you're really lost in that rumination to consciously go, no, I'm not going to finish this thought. I'm going to focus on what's happening right now, and to really, really focusing on what's happening right now. And the other thing that I can tell you about rumination is that when you ruminate, you're doing it because there is an emotion within you that's not processing. It's stuck. So you could be feeling, anger, for example, because of the injustice that you're going through. You could be feeling grief, sadness because of what you're going through. And when you ruminate, it actually prevents the emotional processing, because your emotions are physical, they're not logical. So the logic is not going to get rid of them. You actually have to sit with the feeling itself. So when you ruminate, you can also go, okay, what am I actually feeling right now? Stop the thought process and focus on what you're feeling. So, okay, I feel really angry. And then, I don't know if you saw the video. I made a video in which I talked about this, but I'm going to tell it here again. If you wiggle your toes and focus on the feeling of your toes wiggling, touching the ground, and you take a deep breath and you wiggle your toes and you focus on that feeling, and you observe yourself wiggling the toes against the ground. Observe as you do this, okay? Within you observe. You are not the toes wiggling themselves, right? It's something that you're doing, right? And emotions work the same way. You are not anger itself. You are not sadness itself. It's something that you're experiencing, and it will pass. So what you do is that you observe the emotions as they come up. Okay, I feel sad. And you actually sit with it, and you allow the feeling, the feeling of it. Don't try to fix it. You can't try to fix your emotions. You just have to allow them to take their course. If you repress them, and if you ruminate, and if you do all sorts of things like that, then those emotions are not gonna, they're gonna stay there, because you can't fix them. The only way out is by allowing yourself to go through them. So you have to actually sit down and meditate, spend a little bit of time alone, and really sit with them. Really sit with them and, okay, well, this is anger, and allow yourself to feel what you're supposed to feel. And these exercises actually take time. It's not something that you will it won't fix the rumination overnight, so don't get angry with yourself if it happens again and again. Rumination is tough, but you have to consistently do it. Even if your mind is exhausted, do it consistently. Once you become aware that you are ruminating, then you have to consciously stop the process and practice mindfulness, allow your emotions to flow through you, and go to the grocery store in your mind. Those are the tricks that I can offer you today. So I hope that this was helpful today for you guys, and I want to thank you once again for participating and for all your comments. I find it really quite amazing how many of you are participating and giving me your input and talking about your own experiences. I mean, to me that's we need to validate each other. And thank you for validating me, and I hope that through these videos I am also validating you. So repeat, I love myself, I trust myself, and take good care of yourself.